interesting few days. So last Friday, and it's Monday, I don't know, the 20th or something, somewhere around there. Last Friday, I'm up at the sapphire mine. My brother and his husband show up in the afternoon down at the mine site, which is way down the bottom of this valley, and no cell service or anything. But my brother works remotely, and traveling and working is literally what they do. So for them, setting up a power bank and Starlink is no different than you and I toasting a muffin. So they set that up, and immediately my phone starts going off. Big fire, River Road East fire they call it. And I thought that was pretty cool, and the pictures were looking kind of crazy, but it was on the other side of the river from the town of Paradise. No big deal. Well, we do some stuff, and I jump in the truck and I go back up to the campsite. Well, there's 1,500 feet elevation difference there. No longer in the bottom of the canyon, we're up on top. So I get data, and my phone reconnects. And holy shit, the whole place had gone. And all we can get is there's an emergency evacuation. The town of Paradise is on fire. Apparently the fire just literally picked up across the river, across the railroad yard. There's like 8 or 9 tracks there. Across the highway, across the town, and dumped into the mountains on the far side. And things just went ballistic. So I left that next morning. I decided I just couldn't. I mean, this is still 5-6 miles from the house. Completely different mountain set. I decided I just couldn't risk everything I've been working on. So I packed up and I left early in the morning. Shay stayed with his grandparents, and I left early Saturday morning. And my thought was go fire up the excavator, which wouldn't start. It needs batteries. I got it started, but that was much later. Fire up the excavator, and I was going to scratch me some fire lines and mow. Well, all of that was dependent upon me having water. Turns out the fire had spread so much it had burned through the main power lines. So we had no power, so I had no well pump. I didn't even have any reserve because I had a little timer on the sprinklers, which were watering the orchard. So it was totally dead. I was afraid to even do anything, so I moved some stuff, and mostly I just stood in terror as I watched it come closer and closer and closer. Luckily, it's Monday now. Luckily, it's been raining hard all day long, and that's good, but it's got an Incident 1 team on it. If you're in the western states, when Incident, Team 1 shows up, things have gotten rusty. So it's got a level 1 team on it right now, and they warned everybody. It's like, this weather is fantastic. It came in without a lot of rain, which is really good, but you're only looking at about 3 or 4 days relief, and then you gotta remember it's still August. You're right at the peak of your fire season. 3-4 days from now, this thing's gonna kick off again. So yeah, we're coming into Paradise, and I'm not gonna drive around and show pictures. I'm not gonna trauma dump somebody else's pain. This is just the drive there, unless you're law enforcement, in which case someone else is holding the phone. But yeah, this is just the drive there. We watched the fire come over the mountain directly in front of our place, so it went from 6 miles to 1 mile pretty damn quick. But that one's not the dangerous one. The dangerous one is up the road, or downriver about 2.5 miles, because it's on the flats. And if you know our house, in front of us is all those wheat and hay fields on the other side of the river, and it'll come down that like a freight train. Yeah, BNSF has been here. I'm not going to point fingers at who started it, but They originally said lightning, and then everyone lost their minds. Oh, there's elk right over there. Everyone lost their minds because there was no lightning anywhere near us. Hadn't been for days. And I've heard independently, two different people. One said, yeah, we watched the train cross the bridge and you could see sparks from the wheels. And someone else said, I don't know, the train sounded funny when it rolled into town, and then next thing we know, the fire started. But anyways, BNSF fire crews have been up here. They're fighting it. DNRC, Forest Service, all the volunteer regional. So you got trucks lined up right there. And it burned through. The gentleman I bought the excavator through lives right up here, and it went through his place. So the fire started over there. It jumped this field without setting it on fire. I don't know how. And then it dropped down over here, and it dropped into the hillside. They said it was like the fire picked up, went across the valley, and dropped into the other hill. So yeah, it burned all the way up to one side of Paradise and up to the other. I believe there were a few structures lost on either side of town. The folks, there's a McLaughlin Creek, it's a valley up here. Those folks, they're by far, I mean, that whole mountain is burned, although you can't see it now from the delicious shroud of fog. So there's BNSF's fire train. Yeah. So anyways, I'm heading out there. Danny and Shay spent the day out there, and I'm gonna walk through the buildings. Power came back on late Saturday night, so I had water on Sunday, and my parents stopped by, and you know, we cleared around the buildings, dug fire line, and then I just ran sprinklers all day long. Turns out I didn't need to, but it's gonna give us a bit of a respite. But I heard that the Paradise barn went up last night, which is really sad, because when I came by at 7:30 yesterday evening, that barn was still fine and standing, and apparently it burned about midnight, which is weird because there was no flames or heat that I could see around it. See that the fire crews are out there just mopping up hot spots as fast as they can, but they'll never get them all. So I'm not saying this is where it started. I'm saying that two people independently said it started right here. It started right here, and it started from the railroad. But I'm not going to point fingers at anybody. This whole mountain is burned. River Road East fire. You can look it up and look at the fire maps. Even folks that deal with fire say that this one was fairly impressive. It went from about 500 acres to 12,000 acres in a little over 6 hours. Oh my God, the barn is gone. Wow. See, all this had been burned the day before, and some of this had burned, but the barn is right up here. I've been told the only thing that stands is the asbestos grain silo. It must have been a kit they sold in the 20s or whatnot. That concrete, oh, there's a hot spot right there, even after all this time. That concrete asbestos, that thing is a feature. If you've ever been through here, this old green barn, and it's gone. It's absolutely gone. That's crazy. Wow. That was fine, 7:30 yesterday. So anyways, if you know the geography, right, the Clark Fork goes out this canyon, the Flathead goes out this canyon, the fire is wrapped around almost to Quinn's on this side, and it's wrapped around all the way to our house on that side, and we're on pre-evacuation warning. It's probably relieved right now, but as soon as it dries out, we're on pre-evacuation warning because the fire is down to the train tracks right over there. Anyways, it's been a pretty harrowing few days, and there, that's burning too. It's been a pretty harrowing few days, and it's not over yet. So I'm gonna go and do the video walkthrough of both houses for the insurance company. I'm very, very sure we can protect the house I built. I think if it's driven by high winds, protecting the lower house, the original river house, protecting that one is probably 50-50 at best. All those rotten logs, they're all got all that tar paper down at the bottom, which I'll try to rip off here in the next few days. Yeah, so that is what we've been up to, and I hope things are a little better where you are, because it's getting pretty apocalyptic out there. Thanks for watching.